Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Sparkle English, where I teach you how to improve your level of English. In today's lesson, I'm going to teach you about 3 more common English errors. We're going to talk about the past modal verbs could have, would have, and should have. Or is it could have, would have, and should have? We're going to learn the difference between these past modal verbs and also which is correct. So the first common mistake in English is, do you write could of or could have? And why do people make this mistake? Could have is correct. Could have is incorrect. So this is a very common error for both English native speakers and English learners. And that's because when we speak in English, we often pronounce could have like could of. However, could of is incorrect. Could have plus a past participle means that something was possible in the past but did not happen. For example, I could have visited my friend in New York, but I decided not to. So it was possible that I go to New York, but I didn't. If you write it like this, I could have visited my friend, that's incorrect. You have to write could have. However, could have is the long form and the short form or the contraction is could have. And you can hear that could have sounds exactly like could of, which is why there is so much confusion in what the correct spelling is. So it's could have or could have, but could have must always be spelt like this with an apostrophe VE. For example, you could have called me. Jason could have invited his friends to the party. Sometimes a native English speaker might speak so quickly that it sounds like they're saying coulda. But the only correct way to write it is could have or could have. Okay, now let's talk about the second common mistake, which is very similar to the first common mistake. Would of or would have. And again, would have is correct. Would of is incorrect. So would have plus the past participle is used to talk about something you wanted to do but didn't do. So it expresses a past willingness or desire to do something. For example, I would have gone to your party, but I was really ill. So I wanted to go to your party, but I didn't go because I was ill. That is correct, would have. If you write I would have gone to your party, that is incorrect. And as we saw with the first common mistake, would have is the long form and the contraction is would have, which also sounds like would of, which is why this is a common mistake. For example, we would have gone swimming if it had been warmer. My friends would have come, but they had already made plans. So again, when you are speaking in English, it will sound like would have. However, it is written like would apostrophe VE or would have. And as we saw with the previous example, sometimes native English speakers speak so quickly that it will sound like woulda. We would have gone swimming if it had been warmer. But again, the only correct way to write this is would have or would have with apostrophe VE. And the final common mistake is should of or should have. And as you can guess, should have is correct and should of is incorrect. So we use should have plus the past participle to talk about past regrets or past mistakes. For example, I should have given Robert a chance. He was a great guy. This is correct, should have. If we say I should have given Robert a chance, This is incorrect. The contraction is should've, which again also sounds like should of. Some more examples. You should have let me know you were at your friend's house. I was worried. She should have thanked you for the wedding gift. And as we saw with our previous examples, sometimes you will hear people speak so quickly that it sounds like they're saying shoulda. You shoulda let me know you were at your friend's house. And this same error can happen as well with must have, which people often write must of. But again, it has to be written as must have or must have. Okay, so now we're going to do a quiz, and you have to fill in the blanks with could've, should've, or would've. So number 1, you gone to bed earlier. You have to use the past modal that we use for past advice or regret. Number 2, we traveled to Greece but decided to go to Italy instead. This time, use a past modal that represents past possibility. Number 3, I called you, but my phone battery died. This one, use a modal verb that represents past willingness. Number 4, Lauren dated anyone, but she chose Paul. Here, use a modal verb that represents past possibility. And finally, number 5, I studied harder for my Spanish exam. And this time, use a past modal verb that represents past regret. Okay, so let's correct these together. Number 1, you should have gone to bed earlier. Remember, we use should have to express past advice or regret. Number 2, we could have traveled to Greece, but we decided to go to Italy instead. Could have we use for past possibility. Number 3, I would have called you, but my phone battery died. Remember, we use would have for past willingness, something we wanted to do, but didn't. Number 4, Lauren could have dated anyone, but she chose Paul. Again, could have is used for past possibility. And finally, number 5, I should have studied harder for my Spanish exam, which is me expressing past regret. Okay, so that is it for my quiz on the difference between could have, should have, or would have. Let me know in the comment section how many you got correct out of 5, and if you had any difficulty with this lesson. Thank you guys once again for watching, and I will see you in my next lesson.